The story of Saipho Wright, often referred to as the miracle baby case, is one of the most haunting and emotionally complex accounts of maternal despair and survival. It took place in 2017 in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. This is not a story of malice, but a harrowing look at the intersection of extreme poverty, fear, and the quiet desperation that can break a human mind. The woman, a 25-year-old mother whose name was often withheld in early reports to protect her other children, already had one child. She lived in a cycle of crushing poverty. When she fell pregnant again, she was terrified. She worked at a factory and feared that having a second child would lead to her being fired, an outcome that meant both of her children would starve. She hid the pregnancy from her parents and her community, cinching her clothes tight and carrying the weight in silence. On a cold morning, the woman went into labor alone. After giving birth, the sheer weight of her reality, the lack of food, the lack of support, and the paralyzing fear of the future, caused a psychological snap. In a state of what experts later described as profound postpartum distress and desperation, she took her newborn son to a shallow grave she had dug in the sandy soil near her workplace. She laid him in the earth and covered him with sand and timber. "I felt I had no choice," she later told authorities through tears. "I didn't want him to suffer the life I was living." For 3 days, the infant lay beneath the ground. Incredibly, the mother's conscience began to scream louder than her fear. The bond she tried to sever wouldn't break. On the 3rd day, consumed by an unbearable, clawing regret, she confessed to her supervisor that she had done something terrible. She led emergency responders to the site. They expected to recover a body, but as they cleared the sand, they heard a faint, raspy cry. Against every law of biology, the baby was alive. He had survived 72 hours buried in the dirt. The emergency workers wept as they pulled the tiny, dust-covered boy from the ground. They named him Saipho, which means gift. The tragedy of this story lies in the why. While the act was horrific, the court case revealed a woman who wasn't a monster, but a person who had been utterly failed by her society. She was charged with child abandonment and attempted murder, but the emotional core of the trial was the visualization of her isolation. The child, Saipho, was placed in intensive care and eventually moved to a place of safety. He became a symbol of resilience. The mother, she faced the crushing duality of being the person who buried him and the person who ultimately couldn't live with the secret, saving his life by confessing. It remains one of the saddest true stories of motherhood, a reminder that when a mother loses hope, the world becomes a very dark place, and that sometimes, the human spirit and a child's will to live is stronger than the earth itself. Note: this story is often used by social workers to highlight the desperate need for baby boxes and anonymous safe havens for mothers in crisis.